You are listening to Backstage Pass podcast, hosted by Hannah Trigwell and brought to you by Thomann. Hello, Tim McIlrath. How are you?
So far, so good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Are you in Chicago right now?
I'm in Chicago, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, but you should know, Tim is a singer, guitarist, songwriter, co-founder of the amazing band Rise Against. Thanks so much again for being a guest on this podcast.
Yeah, the pleasure's mine.
Touring or recording?
I'd say touring. Recording can be really tedious sometimes. Like writing songs is fun, but I feel like the recording process, it can be really tedious. So if I had to choose, touring is, it's a good time.
Punk or rock?
Oh, I mean, for me, it'd be punk. Punk was like the first light bulb moment for me, when things kind of all just came on.
Albums or singles?
Albums for sure. But I definitely grew up in a time where albums were, you had to like put down 15 hard-earned dollars to own an album that you had not heard before, and really invest in. And so, but then you were kind of stuck with it, and then you ended up listening to it a lot, and you couldn't afford to have every album. So like, you had some albums and your friends had some albums, and sort of that was kind of your world. It was kind of cultivated by your immediate community.
The good old days.
The good old days, right?
You've got an album coming out tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've been doing this for a while, but do you still get nervous before these things drop?
You get excited. I feel like it's like when you've bought a really cool gift for your friend for like their birthday or something, but you bought it really far in advance. Like you bought it way early and you've just been sitting in it, like looking at it in your room, and like all you want to do is just give it to them, and you can't wait to give it to them. So like, that's what it's been. Like we've had this thing, under wraps for a long time, and we've just been waiting to kind of release it into the wild. So I'm super excited. I'm excited, and almost like it's like the same thing with like that present. Like you're relieved. You're like, okay, here it is. Like I can give it to you. Yeah. Now it's yours because it's meant for your friend. It's not meant for you to hold on to.
Is it possible for you to get to a place where you're like, there's no new songs that I want to put on this? Do you know what I mean? Do you have like new songs now, even though the album's coming out, but there's more in the back?
I remember watching, I forgot what it was. It was some sort of documentary about art, and it was about interviewing an art teacher who was teaching children. And so there was just kind of like finger painting, just like fun stuff, getting kids into painting. And the kids' paintings were all really cool. And so like they were kind of crediting the teacher, your kids' paintings are a lot more interesting than some of the other kids. What's your secret? And her thing was, I know when to take it away from them.
Oh, okay.
But it was so interesting.
So they're not scribbling over the same thing.
Right. Yeah. They made something really cool. And with her experience that they don't have yet, like she knew, okay, that's done, like I'm going to take it away from you. And then, they weren't able to kind of, like you said, just keep going at it. And that's kind of an album, I think. We need an adult in the room to take it away from us. Cause I think that like, given the luxury of time and budget, you could wreck songs,
Yeah.
Like, is an album ever done? Like, no, someone just kind of takes it away from us,
And I know that you guys write a lot of like political and emotionally fueled songs. Do you think there's ever something that you've kind of wanted to write about, but you feel like it's too much?
That's a good question. Like, I imagine every band draws that line, that third rail that you don't want to touch. And like, we probably draw it a little further than most bands. I think it's just about like who we are as a band, what our identity is, and where our voice is sort of best served. Then there's probably like, if we were to sit down and get deeper into the four of us, we've all had different experiences and we have probably some varying opinions on different things. But those are also things that like, maybe like the vehicle of Rise Against is not the best thing to deliver that message or touch those things in a way. I'm not afraid to like sing about anything. We've certainly sung about stuff that like rub people the wrong way, ruffled feathers, and thus has provoked a reaction. And yet we're still here and we're still doing it. You know what I mean? You kind of like you you make that contract with like society. Like if you're going to write this stuff, and you're not just going to write the stuff that's just about entertaining people on a Friday night, if you're going to make a choice to do the stuff that's going to kind of confront people or challenge their preconceptions, or even just use entertainment in a different way than people are used to, then you must expect some flack for that. You must expect some pushback. And you're naive if you're not expecting pushback. So you can't be surprised at the pushback, you know. It will be there. If you are aiming to ruffle feathers, guess what? You know, you're gonna ruffle feathers.
Have you ever had a situation where you're like, I feel like because of the reaction, I feel like we've gone too far with this one?
The furthest you go is when you start getting death threats, I guess, for what you sung about. And
like I've had them, and I honestly sing about the most tamest shit. Like I just sing like love songs and like.
Well, it's good to know that you're not gonna you're not gonna escape the wrath of culture.
Yeah, crazy.
By simply avoiding provocative topics. It's comforting to know.
Yeah. There's a lot of like trending things online that people hop onto that aren't necessarily like consistent with what they do or what they want to say. Do you think it's important to stay away from that and just focus on the music?
That's a good question. And then forgive my ignorance. You're a solo artist?
Yeah.
Okay. So you do things under your name. Is that right? So what's interesting about that, in a way, having the band, I can hide behind it more.
Yeah.
Like the band is this kind of like this big umbrella that we all are under. And so there are cringy things that like when you have that, like you get involved in to like, you know, create awareness that your record's out, you there, you know, cut through the noise and, you know, try to make people understand, hey, we have an album out, you know, we have a tour coming up, you know. It's and being able to hide behind the band name a little bit, you know what I mean, makes it less like but you know, there are times I've done stuff just on my own, you know what I mean, and it's a totally different dynamic. I find like, given the prospect of putting like my name on a t-shirt, that feels like a little bit like more of a leap than that, you know what I mean, and it's a leap that you should make and you have the right to make, and you absolutely, you know, have to make it. It's like that, and your fans want that. They want that t-shirt with your name on it, you know. And so that's maybe most important, but it is different. You're more connected to it, you know. It's more literally you. It's like a picture of you, you know. And I'm the singer, and so there's more often a picture of me than the rest of the guys. But yeah, it's that fine line. It comes down to like the presentation, you know, and you want to focus on the art, and you got to find that fine line to also make sure people know that you have music coming out or your tours coming out. Like, well, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
And a very timely one. It's literally today. I got an email last night and it said, you know, your records are at Target. They'll be there on Friday. We would like to, you know, your fans to know that in case they want to go buy them, which is all stuff I do. I do want them to go buy them. You know, it's like, obviously I want them to find those albums. If that's where they are, then I want them to go there. Will you guys today find a Target and take a picture of yourselves in front of the Target, like holding your album? And like the answer is no. Like, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, and like, and behind it all, like, I have no problem with selling our record and getting it to people, but it's like, I want people focusing on the songs. You know what I mean? And focusing on like, you know, like the music. And I'm not going to stand in front of a Target and holding my record and asking you to buy it, you know. And I'm not even trying to judge anybody who does do that. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to judge anybody if somebody else in my band does it, like, good for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, it's just kind of like, it's sort of, I don't know, I guess you just kind of trust your instinct, and then you try to take yourself out of, it's hard to see you're too close to what you do as an artist. You know what I mean? So it's hard to see it from an outsider's perspective. What you are and what you mean to people is something that you might not ever understand, you know? But you at least have to protect it, you know, and treat it with some sort of responsibility, and understand that like your fans, they have come along for this ride with you because they kind of trust you and they trust your songs, you know? And so you don't want to be like a distraction to all that.
What is your track of the week?
Like my Rise Against track of the week?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's why I'm here. Right? There's a song called Sudden Urge on this album, and I'm excited for people to hear that one. It changes like every day, I feel like, but that one's on my mind. I feel like this would be a cool a cool song. I can't wait to see what people think of it.
I love the numbers, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That. What is the best lesson that you've learned in your career so far?
That it's okay to say no to things.
That's actually a really good one. Really good one.
It's like, harkening back to like my earlier anecdote. It was like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, don't beat yourself up over stuff that doesn't feel comfortable, to who you are. You have to live with yourself as an artist. There are some opportunities that you will be, that will fall in your lap, that will, if you were to partake in them, they would be like a lot of maybe some short-term satisfaction or short-term gain, but they'll do nothing for you in the long term. And then vice versa, like saying no to them might do something for you in the long term in terms of just like, your credibility. It's kind of, that's huge. You can't fake that, and you can't really get it back, like if and when it's gone. Like your fans trust you, and they should trust you. And so it's okay to turn things down if it doesn't feel right for you.
Thanks so much for being a guest on this Backstage Pass podcast episode. This is actually the 50th episode that we've done, which is crazy.
That's huge. Yeah. Good for you.
Thanks.
I'm very honored. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. Be sure to hit subscribe and leave a comment to let us know what you think. And I will see you next time on Backstage Pass.